HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Simplify your federal agency's technology procurement with Connection Public Sector Solutions. Connection's dedicated account managers, commitment to exceptional customer service, and extensive catalog of federal contracts make IT purchases quick, easy, and affordable. Turn your challenges into opportunities and get rid of your technology pain points with Connection today. Learn more about what's possible with Connection Public Sector Solutions at connection.com/fedcontracts.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. We are offering you a free trial of Audible.com when you go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth so that you can explore all of the incredible audio entertainment and information they have to offer, because it's more than audiobooks. So head on over there and check it out for yourself. Over the years, the Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast has gained recognition as a great resource for small business owners, sales professionals, business leaders. And this is because of the guests. These are folks with expertise in particular areas of business, and they join me to share that expertise with all of you. Today is no different. My guest is Dan Moore. After brief stints in enterprise and mid-market data center service providers, Dan co-founded Vaporware to help entrepreneurs take their software ideas to market. Over the past 6 years, he's helped Vaporware deliver thousands of iterations across dozens of apps in 4 main industries, which are healthcare, HR, real estate, and IT, ranging from the first MVP versions to modern iterations on mature solutions. Thanks so much for joining me today, Dan.
Thanks for having me, Diane.
Absolutely. So Dan, we're going to be talking about automating and software, and I'm wondering if you would share with the listeners your thoughts on investing in custom software. Like, should we build our own? Should we just buy off the shelf? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. One we get a lot. I think from the perspective of a business owner, any new project or investment comes with a lot of risk. And so we evaluate each of those scenarios based on how much risk, what kind of risk tolerance a business has. And so there's a process of leadership called thinking in bets, that if you don't know all the facts and want to make some kind of educated guess, how do you work through that process?
Hmm.
And so aligning those risks to what the business wants typically comes out with a clear answer on the buy versus build spectrum. And it's not just related to dollars, it's also related to outcomes that they're looking to achieve. So there's plenty of software off the shelf today, but if you're looking for a competitive edge, or if your business is very unique in different ways and doesn't match up with um, common practices, then uh, those are some good opportunities for custom software.
Okay, great. So, how does someone go about investing in custom software? Are there things they should look for and things they should avoid?
Absolutely. I think some of the key things when building software, again, kind of stems from that risk profile. What we look at is what is someone's capacity to own and manage and maintain that software long term.
Hmm.
That often a lot of people look at software like it's a device that you can buy off the shelf and you have it in your hands. Unfortunately, even buying software off the shelf is not like buying a physical device. So there's ongoing maintenance costs, and that's why you see a lot of subscription models and constant updates on your phone and all that kind of stuff. Um, that long term return on investment is one thing that we look at, even if we're not involved in a relationship for a long time. So if we can come in and build some really easy, simple software, or what we call an integration or connection between two pieces of software to move data around, then in those scenarios, um, there is still maintenance involved, and there is still well, what happens if it breaks, or if a version changes, or data moves in different directions. And so an organization's capacity to do that um, is very different for every single organization that's out there.
Okay, so how does how would a small business owner go about determining whether it's a risk worth taking? It sounds like there are questions they should be asking, or if this then that sort of process. Is that?
Definitely. So we start by looking at existing solutions that are already out there. One thing we do is we basically say, what's this problem that they're trying to solve with that custom software? So if it's uh, ultimately trying to increase sales, and it has something to do with moving data from a CRM to um, uh, some channel or a partner network or something like that, then we look to see if someone has already solved that problem with software off the shelf. Um, if that doesn't exist, or if that business process that we're looking to solve can't change at all, and it's not as malleable as the software is, then we look at kind of that next step up option, which is to customize that off the shelf software. So um, it takes a lot of research and a lot of looking into problems in different ways, but essentially starting from that assessment around a specific problem, and a lot of Google searches and looking at other databases. There's a bunch of great tools out there that have lists of recommendations and related tools and other perspectives. And that research is what really defines the result of what's the best solution out there for someone today. So it's not a if all else fails, go to custom software. There are a bunch of other scenarios. So the ownership of the software, for example, or the business process, if you want to sell it to other competitors, if you want to patent the process and not give up that trade secret, as well as if you want the control, if you're a larger organization, in-housing some of that technology that maybe somebody else already has the exact same process, but you want full control and you don't want your customer data going to other people's servers, or there are plenty of other reasons as well. But I think the main one that we see initially is it just doesn't exist out there. It's unique and different in a new way.
So, okay, that makes perfect sense to me. I'm thinking back to situations I've been in working for companies where there was a particular need, so they went and got software that could be customized for them, but they didn't talk to everybody. So it ended up not really working for certain departments. So, how does a company safeguard against that kind of thing? Because it feels like they can focus on one problem, but then they can create a problem someplace else.
Absolutely. We see that all the time in digital transformation projects and converting to very large systems. I think the one that comes to mind that we've seen time and time again is the Salesforce ecosystem, in that it's a lot of people consider it a product. Oh, I can buy Salesforce, but it's an ecosystem. It's what we call an operating system that is different for everyone that uses it. So buying into Salesforce is much more akin to buying into Apple or Google, as opposed to I want to use this one piece of software in one very specific way. So those projects are much bigger and different than solving an initial problem. Ideally, if you solve a process problem with either a single tool or a couple of tools and an optimization, following like a Lean Six Sigma model through process optimization, we can then create other problems and bottlenecks throughout the system. And so that's a good thing. It basically moves the problem forward and progresses the company. Now, the situation that you're describing is not talking to everybody that uses the system and not getting a holistic perspective on what problems you're trying to solve. So what happens a lot of the time in those digital transformations is that they move a problem from a sales team to a support team, let's say. Like, great, we've sold 20 more customers, but they're all different kinds of customers, and now our support team doesn't know how to talk to these people. They don't know how to support their scenario or the process that they're going through. And really understanding and getting all of those people aligned together is what a good I hesitate to use the term project manager, but we use the role product manager, which is different in that they are focused on all of the different users and prioritizing between them that interface with that system. So a project manager has a start date and an end date, and they have specific goals that they're looking for within that time frame. A product manager is focused on continuing outcomes and all of those different user personas.
Okay, that's interesting. I like that. That makes sense to me. Okay. So if a small business owner, came to you and said, I think we need to increase efficiencies or we need to tighten things up, whatever. Is there a particular place you suggest businesses focus when it comes to, automating and making sure they have software doing things for them?
Absolutely. There are very key areas in a business where software plays a great role. For example, customer relationships is not one of them. Customers don't like interfacing with small businesses so that they can talk to a machine. Um, they like talking to people. And so anything that is keeping your employees and your people away from the customer, in the back office, in um, some kind of data entry, or what we call swivel chair, which is moving from one screen to another and just copying data back and forth, or filling out forms, or looking at reports and that kind of thing. Those are the places where we kind of question, does a human really need to be doing that for your business? On that said, on the customer communication side, if you are scaling a business, for example, we worked with a field services company that does pest control, and they were growing from a single region to multiple states, and wanted to standardize and keep that high quality of customer service in place. And as a lot of franchising models do, they put in business process in place that says, hey, always text the customer before you're on your way, and make sure you follow up with them afterwards to see if they have any questions, and maybe drop an upsell communication point here or there. And that scaling problem of making sure that every single person is trained and following that process every single time, because it's been proven that that process increases conversion rates and customer satisfaction. And those communication points, when controlled manually, can be sped up. So for example, a technician on the field of this company has a single button to press and tell a customer exactly how far away that they are and when they'll arrive at their house, as opposed to, oh, I forgot and I just showed up because it was easier. So standardizing is a big piece of communication, just like it was for McDonald's when they scaled wildly and wanted all the fries to be the same height. So
Got it. Very good. I'm going to take a quick sponsor break, and then I have some more questions for you. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by audible.com, and we are offering you a free trial. You can go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth to sign up for a free trial of Audible, where you can explore all of the content. And if you think it is only audiobooks, you are mistaken. Because while they have thousands of audiobook titles, they have so much other content. Podcasts, guided meditations, Audible originals, and more. I mean, it is amazing. And the cool thing is that when it's all there on one platform, you don't have to go from one program or, one site to another, one app to another to get the content that you're looking for, because it's all there. I can tell you, I'm really enjoying the guided meditations these days, and the ability to jump between different things that I'm listening to. So check it out for yourself. Go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, sign up for the free trial, and explore. I think you are going to be thrilled with what you find. Today we're speaking with Dan Moore about how to automate everything to save time and money. Okay. Dan, can you talk to me some about getting everyone internally on board with the idea of automating?
Absolutely. I think when we consult with larger organizations that have never been through the process before, plenty of people inside of their company push back on automation. It's scary, it's new. Humans don't like change. Um, so, from that perspective, bringing those people into the room of strategizing and solving the problems together and building camaraderie around, we're working through this with you, is the ultimate goal. The ability to get their input and see their feedback and ultimately build the right solution for them is what drives successful projects. So looking at not necessarily the exact suggestions that they have, but asking them questions and saying, well, how would you solve that problem? And um, how can we as a team reach those results is definitely crucial. So going back to that earlier example of the pest control company, we brought those technicians that are in the field into the planning room. So before they even had a solution in place, before we had written any code, we said, well, what would you want to do? What would make your life easier? And it then changed the conversation from, oh, they're trying to replace me and just consider me a cog in the machine, and I'm going to be forced to use this software that I don't like, to, oh, I have some input and some value to the organization. And so my job has changed from communicating with customers and just pressing this button to helping guide the organization overall. So it elevates and increases that person's value. And I think that just drives from very core fundamental leadership techniques that are great for building camaraderie.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that you said it that way, because I think a lot of business leaders avoid certain conversations, or avoid innovating and automating because they're afraid of the how it's going to be perceived, and they're afraid of losing good people, and but it feels like it's how you communicate it makes all the difference.
It's definitely that self-fulfilling prophecy, in that if you're afraid of that and if you're taking that perspective, then it can come true. But if you work to change the perspective and have it be about, we are together working as a team, and giving people the insight through transparency, and I often joke that it's just like, treat them like you would want to be treated, and share. And the worst that we've seen happen from that, the worst case scenario, is someone's opinion is heard and understood and turned down. But that is a much better feeling than, well, they didn't even ask me,
Yeah,
and I'm just being told what to do. So
yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Um, if how do I want to ask this question? I mean, I would think a lot of small businesses wouldn't necessarily have the internal bandwidth to be able to take a project like this from start to finish. So how would they go about finding like an external team to help them? What are like things to look out for, or questions to ask to make sure they're getting the resource that they really need?
that's a great question. It is unfortunately, this process that's been diluted and sold, and you have the spectrum from people that have just graduated college to people that have been through the process, to many different countries, to entire teams versus individuals. There are a lot of options that are out there.
Yeah.
If you are going to go externally, and instead of trying to do this yourself, which is for if you're doing it for the first time, it's definitely what I would recommend. I would suggest knowing and going into that, planning that one person on your team at a minimum is the owner of that effort. You don't want to hand off that entire effort to someone outside of your organization
Hmm.
and just hope for the best. Especially if it's more transformational, replacing doing a big system like Salesforce. If you don't have that internal, not necessarily dedicated, but as in full time, but at least that one person that can focus on this project and can treat it as a priority, it won't be wasted effort. The giving that person the autonomy and kind of that internal perspective, and if they have the ability to go around and get feedback and input from everyone inside of your organization for those bigger type projects, then they could do that if they have that ability and time. You can find an external vendor like us that can also do that as well. So we've come in and offer those, what we call those product management services, to really define what the right solution is. And before that, define what everyone's problems are and make sure that we're solving the right ones. So, but having that clear understanding of and collaboration across the organization is something that a lot of people skip, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and I mean, on the one hand, I think you don't know what you don't know. So, you may not even know the questions to ask or the things to look at. Like, I remember being involved with an organization that had a software vendor creating software for them, and the people who were in the company who were responsible for sort of spearheading the whole thing had never built a website, didn't know anything about data management or anything, and so they didn't know what they didn't know, and they didn't know what kinds of questions to ask the vendor or what kinds of things to watch out for, and so it didn't go great, because I mean, ultimately, because I think they were sort of in different places.
It sounds like they understood a high level goal, but
Yeah,
not how to break that goal down or that objective down into, well, what are the steps or what are the plan to get
yeah,
there? And
right. I think
so
that's fair.
that that Sherpa kind of helping you climb that mountain, someone that's been there before, is a metaphor that we use to um, help kind of understand why that strategic person that can fill the gap between the business objectives and the technical details is really important. Um,
Yeah, no kidding.
sometimes you can find that person uh, who can also do the technical implementation, um, but those are two very different mindsets, and um, that's why we're a team of people as opposed to just one person trying to do everything.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting. Right. So you make sure you have all of the pieces, so to speak.
absolutely, and there's some natural ebb and flow, or give and take, I guess, between those two different perspectives that make it really important to separate them out instead of have one person with one brain sit down and fight internally for those different things. So it's it's the conflict between, is it cheaper or more affordable or more important? So priorities, from a technical standpoint versus when you're actually sitting there and implementing it, you have questions on, well, how do I get this to work, and is it feasible, and how much effort, how much time do I have to put into this, and that kind of thing. And um, it's very easy. We, as software developers, we talk a lot about rabbit holes and just getting into building these massively beautiful technical architectures and that have no business application. And it's just, it's great from a software development standpoint. Like, I go back to when I was in college for computer science, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool, but it has no application. It's worthless at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
that,
that's not good.
no, not at all. And it's it's a trap that's super easy to fall into, because that's why a lot of developers and a lot of technical people are technical people. It's what they enjoy doing. So it's fighting that bias and that
Mm.
um, uh, desire to stick with what's easy instead of asking hard questions about, is this even the right path that I'm on? So
Huh.
making sure that you have someone that knows good paths. And there are still plenty of paths and plenty of decisions that the business leader needs to be responsible for. They need to make the ultimate decision on, am I going to the mountains or the beach? But once you decide you're going to the mountains, okay, well, this is our first mountain we're climbing, so let's start with a small one instead of a huge one. So
Yeah, right. That makes a lot of sense. Start with something sort of simple and basic. Are there any areas, I know you said that like client facing can be tricky. Are there other areas that you would think should not be automated, or that a business shouldn't necessarily spend time trying to figure out how to automate?
absolutely. And I should have mentioned, we have a whole framework for this, and I did a presentation. That there's some slides out there that maybe we could put in the show notes,
Great.
specifically to how to make a decision on what should you automate first. But other things that we look for are, how often does the process or whatever it is we're automating change? Is it something that's been around for a while, or is it a brand new idea that we haven't even done manually before? And we see way too often that a business leader has a new idea and wants to jump directly into, well, let's scale and get this out to our entire sales team and have them go down this direction and put all this technology in place that'll help them sell this new way. And turns out that selling that new way doesn't really work.
Hmm.
And it would have been cheaper to just try it once or twice manually first than invest a boatload of money into a process that doesn't work. So
Yeah. Wow.
understanding your business process and looking at key indicators like how long it's been in place, or how many other systems does it touch, or how many human touch points, manual touch points there are, versus how many people are doing it. If it's just one person, it's pretty much guaranteed that they're doing 10 other things in your head, in their head,
Hmm.
than they've written down or even can explain to somebody else. And
Yeah.
that's effectively what automation is explaining a process or a system to a computer. So um, if someone can't explain to another human how to do a process, then explaining that to a developer to then explain to a computer how to do that process is going to be tricky.
I would think. I would think that is really, um, could be the crazy part of it, because so many people have been doing things for so long that they don't even know the steps they go through.
Absolutely. I think just that second nature. It's there's a great example on YouTube where a father asks his son and daughter, who are 4 or 5, maybe a little bit older, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and has them write down those directions on a piece of paper, and then he follows them literally, and they try 10 different times to the point of, like, they tell him to pick up a knife and get some peanut butter out of the jar, but the jar lid's closed. And so how do you get peanut butter out of a jar that's closed? He just kind of puts the knife against the jar, and then it says, get 2 pieces of bread and spread the peanut butter. And so he spreads it on the table as opposed to on the bread. And it's just a really funny perspective on how much we take for granted in the language that we use, and the context or the knowledge that's owned in those people's heads as opposed to written down on paper. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, boy. Wow. This is, it's so interesting to me. So if there is someone listening and they're relatively new in business, and they're thinking about automating or doing anything along these lines, is there a place you would tell them to start? Is there anything in particular you would suggest?
definitely some of the material that we've put out. There are none of it's new or groundbreaking by any means. We have taken it and stood on the shoulders of some giants that are out there in terms of thought leadership and business. Off the top of my head, I would say that just having the language and the ability to understand exactly what it is, the process is, and what I even mean when I say the word process, on how everything's a process, and it, even if it's not written down, there's still a process that it goes through, and understanding those aspects to business and technology, I think, is a very good place to start. So it's very fundamental, but it shifts the way that we look at our businesses and the challenges that we're faced with. And so those fundamentals really create a separation between a company that is technology led versus a smaller organization that is potentially sales led. Not to say that it's worse in any way, it's just different. So
Right.
for those foundations, you can get really deep into kind of the latest and greatest stuff around them. Off the top of my head, there's, like I mentioned, Lean Six Sigma. If you're a really small organization getting started, I would highly suggest looking at the Lean Startup, book by Eric Ries, who is all about how do you test out new ideas quickly, and it's how Silicon Valley created so many startups the past 15 years. So there are plenty of other new ones. I mentioned product management. There are entire communities for product managers out there. If you're a larger organization doing this stuff, then a business architect is a great place to start. And so they focus on the relationship between these different departments and all of the different software going on, and how that is architected and planned for the future across the entire organization. So that's a whole field that's out there that is kind of hidden in a lot of organizations. But
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Huh.
so it's kind of like these pillars of companies in business that are often just overlooked until you find, oh, there's a competitor and they're doing it this way, or they're thinking about it that way. And that kind of changes my perspective or my view. So.
Right. Got it. Wow, that's great. Thank you, Dan. Will you let the listeners know how they can find you and what you've got going on, please?
Absolutely. So you can find me. My name again is Dan Moore. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter as the best way to socially connect with me. Also, our company is Vaporware, and we're out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And the best way to find us there is vaporware.net. So that's VAPORWARE. And it's not a vape shop, and it's not some of the other things that we've heard, but it's actually software and consulting that exists and can help you move your business forward. So.
Terrific. Thank you. Thanks for spending time with me and sharing all of that.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely. I'd also like to thank the listeners. You are who we are doing this for, as well as our sponsor. Please go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Sign up for a free trial of audible.com and explore all of the incredible spoken audio entertainment and information that they have available for you. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Hey, which glasses look better on me?
Oh, what's this?
Zenni's 3D virtual try-on. Pretty cool, right?
I don't know about the purple cat eyes.
I think they're fun. What about these tortoiseshell glasses? Or these rimless sunglasses? Oh, what about these clear frames?
Wait, are those prices real? Do they have glasses for men?
Yep. They also have affordable blue light glasses.
Seriously? At those prices? Get them all.
I like where this is going.
Zenni.com. Quality prescription glasses starting at $6.95.
Are you tired of the same old productivity hacks? Have you read the top 20 books on effectiveness, and yet your workdays and email inbox still causing anxiety, burnout, and even depression? Ready to learn the latest in brain-based modalities, techniques, and technologies to optimize your success and well-being? Welcome to the Focus to Evolve podcast, where we'll illuminate your path to spacious productivity and balanced thriving. Each week, we dive into deeply insightful and immediately impactful methods to help you become highly effective while promoting health, profitability, and well-being. Say goodbye to the trance of busyness and hello to your highest potential. It's time to discover a new way of accelerating your mission, growth, and purpose. Join us on the Focus to Evolve podcast and get ready to live your most joyful, productive, and fulfilling life.